Hello. I've just realised I have my Queen Lizzie colours on tonight, so that must mean something. And thank you very, very much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. So tonight is an interesting one. It has kind of evolved, to be honest with you. And, I was flip-flopping between one and the other, and then I decided, no, these actually belong together. So that's the way we're going to go. I suppose what I enjoy so much about Monday Magic myself is the fact that it's ever evolving and it's linked in with my own personal life experiences and healing experiences. So every single thing I teach or recommend is something I've done myself. I'm doing it now, I have done it, or I'm teaching others to include in their lives. And it just makes my work really, really authentic. I find that the more I live in this way, teaching authentically, allowing, this Monday Magic to flow through my own life, the more synchronicity actually happens. And that makes my work very, very special for me. So for example, last year, a client of mine was compiling a book written by a group of women. And I was very interested. This is a little example of synchronicity. I was very interested in being involved in it, but I honestly couldn't justify it. I couldn't justify the cost, which included coaching and supervision, because the previous year I had invested in being part of a book and I had got the coaching, got the supervision, and I couldn't really justify it all over again. But anyway, just before the book, Strong and Free, it's called, was published, there was a call out for one or two more authors at a cost that was feasible for me. Perhaps there have been some cancellations, I honestly don't know. And I had to move really quickly and I had to get writing really quickly, and I did. And it's actually amazing how when we commit, we can make all kinds of things happen. You see, what I had realised is that writing like this, writing, not just in a journal, not just my Monday Magic, but writing for a publication and knowing that it's going to be read by an audience is the ultimate form of self-expression for me. So I'm just going to reiterate that. I'd realised that writing for a book, as opposed to just in my journal, as opposed to writing Monday Magic, knowing it was going to sit on a bookshelf and going to be read by, an audience that don't know me at all, I see this as the ultimate form of self-expression. And my first book chapter was called Design Your Destiny, and I shared in that about life design. But this new chapter, called The Last Sin, is in a book called Strong and Free. And I realise now that this chapter is the forerunner of a whole book on the same topic that I'm actually working on at the moment. And in many ways, writing this chapter was an opportunity to test the water on a topic that's very personal to me. And again, an exercise in self-expression. So I'm actually going to read this very short chapter to you now, because it is very, very short, but it fits in very well with the rest of this evening. So the chapter, it's part of this lovely book called Strong and Free. And it's stories of women who are living their dream after breaking up with society's expectations. And we actually got bestseller in many countries, America, Holland, the UK, Germany. It was just great. So my chapter is called The Last Sin. So I'll start off, is comfort important to you? It has always been very important to me. Physical and emotional comfort. Has anyone ever suggested to you that you are less than perfect? Society has told me this in many ways over my lifetime. A recent discovery turned me from feeling that I need to be fixed into a woman who feels free to be me. I live life true to myself and grateful that I now understand the why behind being a bigger person, or obese in medical terms, or a fat lady, as some children refer to me. In the past, I would have taken these words as a personal criticism, and despite a smile and a kind demeanour, they would have hurt my sensitive heart and soul. These days, I see the words as purely descriptive. What does hurt, however, is when people approach me uninvited, suggesting that they have a solution to fix me or to cure me. It's hard to live life when your perceived flaws on the outside. It seems to allow people to critically judge whether in a shop or cafe, at a conference or a dinner party, Even on public transport or out for a walk, we are vulnerable. Everyone is an expert on weight, especially women, and subtle bullying and fat shaming is inherent in society. I feel so lucky that my nearest and dearest and some very good friends have always seen beyond my body size and love and respect me for who I am. I have a super strong empathic powers and intuition, the ability to feel other people's feelings and emotions, which I'm aware of since I was 5 years old. Over-pleasing to be approved of, overdoing to be seen as a good person and not lazy. When I've sometimes wondered how I could survive the judgmental onslaught on my mind, body and spirit while living a productive life, I would remind myself that I'm surrounded with love and I'm compensated by my creativity, my flair for style and the ability to ideate prolifically. Also my passion for lifestyle, love of nature and gardening, and most of all, my zest for life. I mentioned that in my other chapter, Design Your Destiny. I'm the creator of an amazing life skill I call life design, which I've used myself with my family and clients too, to live life to the full despite our challenges. And I now teach life design and train others to use it in a professional capacity too. A perceived and actual weight issue has been a 50-year struggle for me. I decided I had to find the why behind it. As an intelligent woman who had completed undergrad and master's degrees in her 50s, how could I find myself in this loop of what I began to think of as the last sin? By this I mean that others who suffer judgment about their sexuality, addictive habits, ability or ethnicity are rightly speaking up for themselves and seeking societal change. People who live with obesity, as more informed medics now refer to the condition, find themselves shamed and often misunderstood by society, the medical profession at large, and the media, and in turn are riddled with guilt and confusion caused by a misinformed, merciless diet industry. I was such a victim for 45 years until I decided that enough was enough. I would live life my way while striving to stay healthy and well. I'm aware of the body positive movement, but I do not believe that we should have to apologize or explain about our bodies, whatever their size. I would prefer to be part of a live and let live movement of kindness, where there's no need to justify ourselves to self-appointed judges for any reason at all. People with weight issues often live with huge guilt and shame, especially when a solution they've invested time, energy and money in doesn't work for them. They are sometimes frowned upon and judged when their efforts do not bring results on the weighing scales, which is the ultimate weapon of judgment of those who are seeking a solution. Each time we fail, we have to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves down and face life again, often heavier than before. As my own emotional and physical discomfort increased, an opportunity to enter a new world of personal discovery arrived to me on social media. It took me 4 months to have the courage to make my first approach, and then through the patience of my healer, now friend, over time I made some discoveries that have changed my life. Imagine if solving your deepest challenge or wound was more simple than you ever could have imagined once you understand the truth. It was a profound experience. Thankfully, I found no major trauma, rather a life filled with love and joy and fun and achievements and travel adventures and so much more, including motherhood through adoption. One evening during this time of discovery, when I was explaining to my husband Philip, who has walked life's journey with me for over 40 years, that I now understood why I had to censor the news and other TV programs and movies because of the effect they had on me, I expressed a deep thought. Sometimes I think I am just too sensitive for this world. Whether we like it or not, or believe it or not, our phones are listening to us. And the next morning I woke to a YouTube video on being a HSP, a highly sensitive person. I now understand that when we live life as an HSP, and there are many variations of this, We can be constantly in fight or flight mode, which can have a huge effect on our mind-body connection, our ability to metabolize food, and our food choices. While appearing calm as a swan on the outside, we can actually be paddling like crazy to keep afloat. It dawned on me that this is the root cause of my lifelong problem, and so much made sense. The moment I understood, everything changed. No great big life change, but subtle changes in behaviour that were a personal choice. No willpower required. A kind of natural freedom. Also, certain foods completely lost their power to comfort or calm me. I thought I might tell my story when the scales proved that my problem was solved. However, I now realise that reversing over 6 decades of food intake and metabolism issues, hormone complications and habits cannot and should not be rushed, rather steadily undone. People still stare and nudge each other, make comments and judge me, and this can hurt. But understanding my situation and functioning from a place of self-understanding rather than self-criticism changes everything. If we add some self-care and even self-love into the solution, we can look at everything more wisely and objectively and become true to ourselves. We need skills to cope with life, to deal with our sensitivity, to undo or learn to live with things that have happened to us. I've proved that life design can help us to do this. We make life as good as possible while never giving up on finding a solution or making peace with our challenges. So if you struggle with a life issue, please get help, even if, like me, it takes years of searching, because you are worth it, I am worth it, we are worth it. Understanding the why in any situation can allow us to reverse it or reimagine a solution beyond what is currently known or assumed, even for the last sin. I feel so strongly about what I've discovered that I would happily stand my ground and discuss it with any expert. I hope bringing my personal awareness to this issue that affects many will be helpful, especially to parents who can watch out for signs in their children. Perhaps I'll have the courage to share more of my story one day. Judgmental words hurt deeply and can exacerbate the problem. Empathy, encouragement, kindness rather than criticism, and true understanding of the root issue is, I believe, the way forward in the battle against a constantly growing global obesity problem. And I'll finish by saying that life design really helps too. So it's funny, because if anyone had told me that I would ever be reading out that chapter here in my group, or that I would even have written it and shared it in the first place, I honestly would not have believed them. But it's just amazing. Once we have a little taste of self-expression and we're passionate about something, then the courage seems to bubble up from somewhere. So we'll continue around self-expression now. Myself, I had not realised until recent years that writing is such a body, mind, spirit, creative activity. A fantastic form of self-expression, whether we're journaling or doing creative writing, or at the stage I now find myself at, that I have something to say in a book, a message to impart, which is linked with my own life design work too. I've always liked communicating, but there were certain areas of my life, such as which I've just shared with you, that I could not speak about, would not speak about, because of my highly sensitive nature, but also because I'd been so judged and shamed. In fact, this situation left me wide open to being bullied. So I was very, very careful. I would do everything to make sure that this topic did not come up in conversations. So as you may know, I'm having some medical appointments at the moment, including a recent scan. And what I can't believe is that because I am so true to myself now, I'm well able to communicate. And this leaves no room for judgment or bullying at all. In fact, what I've really noticed is that I'm treated with so much respect. So what I've noted, and I'm telling you this because I really, really encourage you as part of the True to You process that we've been through together, to work on this aspect of being able to communicate. So I'm able to stand my ground now. I could give you examples, but I won't bore you with them. I'm able to express my needs. I'm my own woman in many ways. I just stand firm on things. I'm so grateful to have evolved to this stage of my life. I see my own dignity as an individual, and I just expect to be treated well. I can notice all kinds of synchronicities falling into place because of my own behaviour and my own thought process. And I'm well able to stand up for myself and other women in my situation, and I have been doing so. I realised as I was thinking this through from the point of view of self-expression that what I've just described crosses right across the 7 steps of being true to you that I've actually shared in the recent weeks. And this made me smile. This kind of synchronicity is so affirming, especially as I get on with writing a book that will make some eyes open really. And this will take courage. But the more we work on the 7 steps of being true to you, somehow courage arises like a deep inner strength from inside ourselves. So swallowing down hurts and putting up with things that are just not the way you like them, they can really be solved by self-expression. At first, this can be as simple as journaling or painting in an abstract way or digging in your garden with no real purpose. It's that kind of creativity that doesn't have a purpose, like a beautiful painting, but just literally putting paint on paper, that actually seems to work so well. But there'll come a time when you'll feel ready to speak your truth. You find yourself sharing with someone caring or just not putting up with something that's bothering you. Life design is a great way to do this. I found myself returning to the basics of life design over and over again in recent weeks, as certain things needed to be thought through and reinvented. In fact, life design has kind of kept me company. When you begin to express yourself, there are physical and mental adjustments and a type of freedom that you thought perhaps was gone. And yes, others may be involved, but if you use creative self-expression tools, I call them really at first, when you're trying to figure all this out, when you've all the fluff removed in the writing and thought process and everything like that, things can boil right down to simple requests, personal reinventions, and ultimately a sense of relief. So what I mean about that is that you might start off thinking, I've this huge problem and I've got to, how will I ever bring it up and how will I speak about it? How will I communicate it? But actually, when you process it yourself, you'll come down to the key issues. I would like this, please. I don't want that. Simple things, but from a place of inner strength. So there's a lot of changes in people's lives at the moment. And we can even blame recovering from the pandemic times as a reason to negotiate for things we wish for in our lives or don't want anymore. And in fact, I think there's a sentence that's quite empowering. In the pandemic, I noticed something that you noticed about your life. And I'd actually like things to stay that way. And I think that's something that many women can use to actually make changes and to create that reinvention and to have that relief of self-expression. Because when I think back over the years and of people I've worked with, a lot of people were kind of still choking things down, and I didn't have the skills, and I'm not a therapist, and I've loads of qualifications, but I just don't go there with people. But I just began to realize once you open this kind of self-communication and then build your communication skills, everything can change. So my sentence around the pandemic would be, in the pandemic, I felt the benefit of not having so many demands on my time or so many people in my life. And I'll be really honest with you, this adjustment alone resulted in more weight leaving my body than any diet or exercise regime ever produced. And I just noticed that I was just so much more true to me, not overgiving, not over-pleasing, in fact, pleasing myself. And my self-communication skills firstly improved. And actually that's a type of self-expression as well. And then once your own self-communication skills improve, your ability to communicate with others improves as well. So last Thursday at the hospital, I had to have a blood test, and the young doctor who admitted me a few weeks ago came actually to take the blood. Synchronicity. And she was so delighted to see me back on my feet. And I'm actually very glad I didn't realise how ill I was that evening, because they apparently were very worried about me. Anyway, she said to me that on the evening concerned, the way that I could express myself, my reservations about being back in that hospital, explain my plight, tell my story, really allowed them to make very quick clinical decisions that actually stood to me. I was really taken aback by what she said, but afterwards I realised this is what happens when you get really true to you. You ask for what you need, you make your feelings known, and in turn what happens is that you almost command respect without any effort at all. And so many of us need this for so many reasons every single day. So I'm going to pull our 3 angel cards this evening. I'm still sticking with this old pack. I find them quite good. And then I'll tell you about my own. So I hope you found this interesting. You know, maybe it's not what you expected from me this evening, but it's very much linked with life design. And I really want people to really understand what life design is all about, and to make sure that either by re-listening to videos here or having a couple of sessions with me whenever I can fit them in, that you have this skill that you can use. It's not like somebody might think they can knit, but they can't really knit. So you might think you know a little bit about life design, but actually you don't know how to actually use it for your huge benefit. So the first angel card we got this evening is beauty. The outer world is a reflection of your inner. So focus on the beauty within yourself, your good qualities, your kindnesses, your gifts and your talents. Remember that whatever you give attention to increases and grows. Everyone has some beauty in their soul, so seek it in others. Remind them of their qualities and you will illuminate them. Surround yourself with things and people with a beautiful vibration, for we are all influenced by that which is around us. As you tune more and more into the incredible wonder of yourself, others and the planet, your resonance becomes that of beauty. Others will perceive the radiance of your soul and they'll be touched by it. So the affirmation is, I recognize my beauty and that of others. The second one is hope. Hope indicates that the sun is about to come out in an area of your life. The angel wisdom reminds you that your spirit is immensely resilient and powerful. So keep faith with your dreams and your visions. Remember, the universe wants you to have your heart's desire. It is simply waiting for you to believe you deserve it before the angels bring it to you. Do your part by deciding what you truly want. Then send out positive thoughts for the changes you seek and for the fulfillment of your wishes. Ask the angels for help, and they will fan the sparks of potential and bring them to life. Hope is a magnetic quality which attracts the great and the beautiful into your life. And the affirmation is, I am eternally optimistic. And the third one of these cards is joy. Joy springs from a sense of connection to the divine and is a quality which illuminates you. Your angel guidance is to cultivate this quality by seeking the divine in every situation. Look beyond the surface and seek the light in the heart of each person. Then you will become aware of the wonder of creation and joy will ignite your life. Delight in everything, for joy is a key to enlightenment. Enjoy life. And the affirmation is, I find joy in everything. So I had an interesting experience then when I was working on my own cards. So you know I have these angel prayers for you that I share, and then my oracle cards. So I thought I was going to get a new oracle card based on communication, but actually that's not what happened. And I thought I'd get a new angel card, but actually when I researched the angel of communication, it was actually Archangel Gabriel. So I was sent back to the original prayer to add to it. So Archangel Gabriel, angel of communication, guide us on your white ray from confusion to clarity. Light the way for us in your blessed way. Shine your light into dark corners so that we may be enlightened. Diffuse our burdens so we may feel hope and joy and gratitude. Please help us communicate our needs clearly and express ourselves in ways that align with our truth. And the last one then is, I was sent back, and I was very surprised by this actually. The oracle card I was sent back to, instead of a new one on communication, was actually the one on significance. And actually, this was one of the early oracle cards I got, and it really touched my heart when I reread it today. So, we are born with our quota of significance, each and every human. Our childhood and early adult life determines where we are on our personal significance scale. Have we been silenced or made to feel inferior? Has our sensitivity resulted in sadness or hurt? It's a good idea to take on challenges and projects that help build our personal significance by playing to our strengths. This must happen in our own minds first, and then we can filter out to those around us. Not to be confused with arrogance, significance relates to our level of self-worth. When this is good, it reflects into the life we live. We communicate clearly and find ways to express ourselves that build our confidence and our self-esteem and allows us to take our place in the world. Never let your significance be undermined by another person's arrogance, especially if you're sensitive by nature. Understanding this can be a valuable insight, and awareness empowers us. So that's my card for this evening. I wanted to leave space because I feel that this is quite powerful. I feel it's something that you won't just pick up and read somewhere else. It's very personal to me and the work that I do. And, you know, the easiest thing at the moment would be to shy away from sharing it. But actually, somehow I believe that it kind of needs to be out there, and that's what's giving me the courage to continue to write the book. It's funny, I kind of had slowed down on the book. I read 2 of the stories, which are only small short stories, to my 2 daughters separately some months ago. And they were both so shocked by them that I wondered, gosh, you know, maybe they are just too much to bring into the world, you know, and I always want to bring positivity, not negativity into the world. But I think it's very important that certain things are kind of spoken about now, and that we stand up for ourselves in a really polite way and just say no more. So, you know, as always, I realise this topic is only relevant to a few people here. But people can be bullied and spoken down to and judged for all kinds of reasons. It just doesn't touch on weight. But for me personally, to have had the courage to share this evening, that's what's great about this group, is that I have this kind of test place to try things out. Like doing the chapter in the book was like a test for me, because I have become protective of myself. And I don't want to put myself up for ridicule or be seen to be advocating that people should be overweight. My point is that we should be treated as normal. We should be encouraged. We should be allowed just to be ourselves and treated with the dignity and respect that every human deserves. So I hope you found it interesting. I wish you the very, very best, ladies. Each of you has something that you need and want and, to sort out in your lives. And I can assure you from all the experience I have with life design that if you just get yourself going, I just can't believe different things that have happened in the last week or two as I've reconnected in with it myself. So wishing the very best for you, and thanks for your patience sticking with me here this evening. Thank you very much indeed. God bless you all. Good luck. Bye-bye now.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us and for listening to Lifedesign Monday Magic. We are honoured and humbled to be able to share Liz's words, wisdom and life design philosophy with you. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love for you to subscribe so you never miss a new one. And if you could take a moment to rate and review the podcast, it would help us share her message with even more people. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another inspirational Life Design Monday Magic filled with more of Liz's wisdom, warmth and encouragement to help you live your best life despite. We'll talk to you again soon, and in the meantime, take care. And as Liz would say, do focus on all that's good. Good luck.